Hi, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Maddie Van Halder. I have not posted on here in a fat minute. It's been crazy year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. I stopped posting, but today's video is going to be a serious video. At the end of November in 2022, I found out that I was pregnant after 7 months of trying after our previous miscarriage. The day I found out, we also tested positive for COVID, and I'm wondering if me getting COVID is kind of why what happened. But I didn't really think that I was pregnant that month. I was just like breaking out. I was really hungry, so I was like, okay, let's just take a test. And it was positive. I was like actually eating. I was like really hungry. Face was breaking out, my back was breaking out. I was also breaking down. I was just like mentally unstable, probably just because like I was just so paranoid of losing this baby because of our last miscarriage. I just didn't want to go through that again. So the day my mom came over, I'm gonna put the TikTok that I posted that day, but this day my mom came over. I still hadn't announced or really like told anyone, like none of my friends knew, and I honestly thought I was miscarrying that day just because like the cramping was so incredibly bad. I was cramping really bad on my left side, and it just like my whole stomach, it just like felt like I had to poop, you know? So I took a magnesium and then I pooped and the pain went away. I went to go get an HCG test. Numbers came back at 410, which I thought was like low, but I wasn't gonna like lose sleep over it. I was taking tests like multiple times a day, every day, because of how paranoid I was about losing this baby. I feel bad for my best friend because I would send her like all the pictures being like, is this getting darker? Is this getting lighter? I can't tell. It's getting darker. You're fine. You're pregnant until proven otherwise. Like, you're fine. The week after my first blood draw, I would have been like 6 weeks, which was a Monday. Keep in mind, this was Monday. So Monday, I started lightly bleeding and cramping, and I just knew. Then a few minutes later, it got heavier. So I called my doctor. He had me come in to get an HCG, and it went down 100. So he confirmed that it was a miscarriage and just said to stay home, naturally miscarry, and just like lay low for the next like week, 2 weeks. Got home from getting my blood drawn. I started feeling like I was in labor. It was so intense. Like, thought I passed what I thought was like pregnancy tissue. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just like a really big blood clot. I don't know. And then the bleeding stopped after 3 days, which I thought was weird because my bleeding with my previous miscarriage, I wasn't even that far along compared to this pregnancy. And the bleeding was just so much more with that one than this one, so that was like my first red flag. Sorry, I had to write everything down because the last time I filmed this, it sent me into a spiral, a mental breakdown. I don't think I was ready to talk about it. Writing it down and like reading it off the piece of paper really helps. I'm going to take an anxiety medicine after this, but I do want to share this story. Bleeding stopped like Wednesday. Friday night, I was having the worst pain ever. Like, I could not sit down. Like, my rectal area like just hurt so bad. I couldn't sit down, I couldn't lay down, I couldn't stand. Like, it was just like the most unbearable pain in my life. So I didn't want to text my doctor and like bug him. So I went online to my insurance company's website and found like an online doctor through like a little chat and explained like my symptom. He was like, you need to go to the hospital right now. Like, what you're telling me, it does not sound good. You need to go. And I just didn't kind of believe him because I just thought like every doctor is like obligated to say that, like if you're in that much pain. So I didn't go to the hospital that night. Saturday morning, my mom called me and she was like, you need to go into the hospital. You need to go. So we packed up everything. We went to the hospital. I just had like a really bad feeling before. I just had a really bad feeling when my mom was like, you need to go to the hospital, because she never says that. But my husband was actually supposed to meet his dad that day, and he was on the phone with his dad like saying like, hey, I gotta take Maddie to the hospital, like I can come help you whenever we're done. And I remember looking at him and saying like, I'm gonna need to get surgery. I just have a feeling I'm gonna need to get surgery. You will do this another day. We got to the hospital. It actually like surprisingly wasn't that busy, so we got in like pretty quick, but I got my HCG drawn and it went back up to like 425, and you get the results like in your my chart before they like actually come out and tell you. So when I saw that, I was like kind of freaking out because I had a feeling right then when I saw the number go back up that it would possibly be ectopic. So then they wanted to do an ultrasound, and I could not handle the ultrasound at all. So they sent me back to the waiting room, and then they pulled me aside into like this little hallway and said, we are concerned that this is ectopic and we need to do something about this now. And then they had their ER OB that's on staff there. She came in and she said I wasn't a good candidate for methotrexate. I immediately knew what that meant, that I would need to get surgery, which I didn't want. I'm trying not to cry. I did smoke before this. By the way, I'm a canna mom, if you don't know. She said that I was gonna need surgery immediately, like in this little like waiting area, hooked up to morphine while they were getting the OR ready. And then my mom came to relieve my husband so he could go eat food, because we were literally there all day. Then they took me back to start like prepping my body to go in for surgery. It's fine to me because I've gotten a lot of surgeries before. I've had lots of laparoscopic surgeries before because of my endometriosis, so I wasn't too worried about this surgery at all. Once I woke up from surgery, I immediately started crying, like bawling my eyes out. My first question was there a fetus? She said yes. My second question was, do I still have my fallopian tubes? And she says, you only have one. The baby was implanted in your left fallopian tube. Like, start crying even more. I asked if my husband could spend the night at the hospital, and they have like a strict rule where you can't have a support person spend the night with you overnight. Crying about that again, and then they're like, wait, no, you're not going into like a normal surgery recovery, you're going into the mother and baby unit, so you are allowed to have a support person. And I was like, thank God. I think from there is a blur. The recovery was so hard. It was nothing like my previous surgeries. And I had a C-section with my daughter, and that was pretty painful, but this felt like I just got a C-section and I didn't have my baby with me. That was probably like one of the hardest surgeries that I've ever had to recover from. Probably because they were like reopening incisions that have already been cut open and like put back together numerous times. It was really hard to walk. I really could not function without pain medicine. It was excruciating. I'd have to end up going back to the hospital like a week or so after. I was just doing too much. I was just trying to get back to normal daily life, I guess, and I picked up Oakley, and I had a big lump like underneath my left incision where they took my tube, and I thought it was a hernia. I sent a picture to my mom. She's like, oh my god, please go back to the hospital. I did like a CAT scan to check for an infection and a hernia, and guess what it was like, they call it like a sonoma. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And it's basically just like a clear like pocket of fluid that will go away. And the pain that I was feeling was just surgery pain. My god, it was so bad. It was so bad. It like makes me question if I even want to have another kid, because I am gonna have to get a C-section. And just the thought of like recovering from a surgery like that again anytime soon, just, oh my god, it was hell. It was hell, and I felt bad for my husband because he desperately needed a break, but I couldn't give that to him. I also recently read my pathology report a few weeks ago. That was really hard to read. I had a huge blood clot in my left tube. It just like makes me wonder how long that blood clot was there for, and was me bleeding that Monday my tube rupturing, because my tube was already ruptured. It's all a blur, and honestly I don't think I want to know. I think I'm good not knowing. It's just crazy to me that if I didn't go into the hospital I wouldn't be here anymore. Part of me is a little mad at my doctor for not wanting to like check to see if my levels go down to 0. But yeah, that's my ectopic story. I'm still struggling mentally with it. I do have PTSD. I have to be like on a sedative because my thoughts are just so bad. Back on my antidepressants as well, and they've been working. And I've been feeling much happier, and my thoughts have been much easier to cope with. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, or if you just want to share your story down below in the comments, please do, because it makes me feel less alone. It makes other people feel less alone. That's literally the only reason why I am sharing this with you guys, is I don't want people to feel alone. And I felt alone, but I did, but I didn't, because I was posting about it. I was like trying to bring awareness to it while it was happening, and that did bring me some sort of peace, hearing from you guys and joining support groups. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know, comment down below, and I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and hopefully I'm trying to get back on YouTube, but I feel like this was just a very long video that it needed to be posted on YouTube. But yeah, I love you guys. Bye.